notice that I am seated. Today's practice is going to start down on the mat, and we're never going to stand up. Today's practice is what I call a yin and yang practice. So almost all of the poses are yin poses, and they will be held for a 3-minute duration. For that reason, you're going to want to be comfortable in those 3 minutes. So make sure you have a couple props today. You don't have to have special yoga props. So if you have a yoga bolster, great. But if not, you could use any combination of pillows or small cushions. If you've got small cushions like this, you might want to have 2 of them. And we have a pose on our knees. We'll be doing a lizard pose today. So when you're on one knee, you might want to have either a rolled up towel to put as a cushion under the knee, or maybe a knee pad or a gardening pad. Or you could even fold over the edge of your mat. So those are the props that you need for today's practice. We are going to start lying down. So in yin, we really want to let the poses create the greatest benefit for our muscles by staying in them a little bit longer. So go ahead, and if you've got a bolster or a pillow or a cushion, place your spine on that and lie on your prop. And you can keep your knees bent and let them rest against each other, or you can extend your legs long. Your hands could rest on your belly, or they could be open to the sky. Close your eyes. I'm going to sit up just to project my voice, but you go ahead and relax here. Just going to take maybe 3 minutes to really focus on relaxing and centering for our practice today, our yin-yang practice. By the way, I don't have music playing, so if you want to turn on some music, especially because during the 3-minute holds, there will be times when I'm not going to talk the entire time. So if you want to have some soft music playing in the background, you can. You don't have to. I will try to add a little bit to the space by adding some more quotes today. So I have a long list of additional quotes. Normally I just have the one at the end, but today I'll add some different ones, so just to give you something to ponder as we're in quiet and stillness. Remember also that the symbol yin and yang is half light and half dark, but within each is a seed or a dot of the opposite. And that's to remind us that there is no entirely yin or entirely yang, that both sides exist in the other. Just as in life, nothing is 100%. We are never 100% one emotion or another. We always have lots of emotions within us. Well, just like in our yoga practice, we're never 100% still. Even when our arms and legs aren't moving, we're still breathing. And the motion of our breath is represented in the exhalation out of our nose, the rise and fall of our rib cage with our lungs expanding and contracting. And even if you don't even think about our breath, you think about just the motion going on inside your body with your circulatory system, your heart pumping the blood and your circulation throughout your body, energizing your limbs, your organs. Let's just take 3 more breath cycles here in stillness. And now coming out of stillness, wiggle your fingers and toes. You can come out of your lying down position by either coming into one sit-up, or you can roll to your side, push into the earth, and come to a seated pose. We're going to start with a yang pose, a motion pose, and that is seated cat and cow, making sure that spine does have a little mobility in it before we begin our first yin pose. So extend your legs long. Move the fleshy part of the bottoms away from the sits bones. And our yang poses are much shorter in duration. They'll only be typically 20 to 30 seconds. And then we'll transition to our yin pose, which is the 3 minutes. So sit tall, shoulders relaxed, and let's go into about 20 to 30 seconds of seated cat and cow. Use your own breath to determine the tempo. Exhaling to seated cat and inhaling to seated cow. Again, go at your own pace here. Feel the motion in the spine. Feel the stretch. Maybe it feels tight the first few. Maybe not just tight in the spine, but in the hips and the backs of the legs. Just take note of where your body is right now. And then at the end of our practice, we'll make another assessment. Do one more cat and cow. And then sit tall. We're going to go into our first yin pose here, which is half lord of the fishes. So draw your right foot in, step it across. Again, if you have a full tummy, you can do this without stepping it across. You can leave your foot on the inside, or you can add that step across. Our poses are going to be 3 minutes, so I'm going to be timing them for us, so you don't have to worry about that. Sit tall, turn and hug the knee into your body. And this one doesn't really require a prop, but if you had that hand towel and you wanted to just roll it up and set it on your knee, you could bow your head or rest the side of your face on your knee. Take some deep breath cycles. Again, you don't have to add that variation. You can remain upright with the spine, looking off to the right, or maybe you just bow the head here to get a little stretch for the back of the neck. And remember that within the half of the symbol, yin and yang, so we're in our yin, which is the dark side. Remember there's a seed of light, so you can add a little motion here. There's no police, no yoga police are going to come by and say that you have to be perfectly still. So if you want, you could move your head. Maybe look over one shoulder and then turn to look over the other shoulder. Just adding a little motion for the neck here. Don't forget to maintain that deep squeeze on the knee into your chest. Feel that stretch. If you want, you could take this into a deeper stretch by taking your right hand behind you and your left arm to the outside of that right leg. And you could bow the head up and down if you like. Or you could remain totally still. Totally up to you. We have just 1 minute left, so I'm not going to talk for the last minute except to give you an extra quote. This is from Mary Oliver, and she wrote, "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" Think about your plans, my friends. Your precious life. Take one more breath cycle. And lift up out of the pose. Extend both legs forward. And we'll go into our yang pose, which is motion, about 20 to 30 seconds. and this is our sprinter arms. So we were just holding that body in a very still position. So now we move it a little bit. Draw your right arm forward and your left elbow back and switch. Feel the twisting through the rib cage. Do one more each side. And then release. And we'll go into our second yin pose, which is half Lord of the Fishes on the other side. Draw your left foot in. Again, you can stay here. If you have a full tummy, be mindful of that. Don't try to compress the abdominal cavity if it's not ready. Or if you've had breakfast a little while ago, go ahead and cross that leg over, shoulders relaxed. Sit tall and turn, hug the knee into the body. And again, don't really need to use a prop here in this pose. We're not folded, so we don't need to support the body. But if you want to bow the head and add a little support, you could take that little rolled up towel. Or maybe you have a small pillow. You could put the small pillow on top of your knee and rest your head on that. Or you could add the motion of the head. Continue to hug that knee tightly into the body. Feel that stretch on the left outer thigh, left hip. Keep the shoulders relaxed. And if you'd like to add a deeper twist, you can take the left hand and bring it behind you. Maybe even place it on your low back to get an even more of an opening on that left deltoid muscle on the front of the shoulder. You can also deepen the twist by bringing that right arm to the outside of the left leg. Listen to your body. Relax the toes, give them a little wiggle. You can change the arm position after a moment if it doesn't feel right. Deep yoga breaths. Let your tongue relax, let your throat relax. And for the last minute of the pose, I'm going to be silent except to give you another quote from Mary Oliver again. If you suddenly and unexpectedly feel joy, don't hesitate, give in to it. Let joy wash over you, my friends. And give into it as if you would give into a shower, a water shower, a rainfall, the sunshine. Let it wash over you. One more breath cycle. And spiral your body back to face front. Extend your legs forward again. And we'll go back into our yang pose. So sit tall, back into those sprinter arms. You can start with either one. Just go ahead and start that slow motion sprinter. The arm that's coming forward, think you're trying to reach across and touch my fingertips through the screen. And then draw the opposite elbow as far back as you can. One more each arm. And release. We're going to go into another yin pose, and this is another seated yin pose. And it's a folded pose. So now we're going to probably want to use a cushion or a bolster. So have that ready. And this is the lower body part of cow face legs. So draw your right leg in. It starts the same. Step it over. And then bring the outside edge of the foot down to the mat. It's starting to look like half shoelace. So if this is where you want to stay and come into half shoelace, you can. But if you want the extra stretch for both hips, now you also bend the left knee. The feet are off to the side, we're not sitting on them. Now if you started here and it doesn't feel right, go ahead and leave the left leg extended. Coming into the fold is going to make this a deeper pose. So here's where you're going to use a support, maybe just setting it on your lap and then bowing your head. Easing your head forward towards your screen. If that's too much, then back it off a bit. Remember, you've got 3 minutes to come into this pose and stay in this pose. So maybe you start with that left leg extended, and then you can come into a little deeper fold. And once those hips have released a little bit, then maybe you can bend this knee. Remember, you can add an adjustment to your pose at any time. So maybe I'll leave this left leg extended for one more breath cycle. Maybe you leave it extended for a few more breath cycles. And now I think I'm ready. A little bit relaxation in those hips. If one cushion isn't enough, you could stack 2 pillows or cushions on top of each other. You could stack your fists and rest your forehead on your fists. Let your hips be heavy on the mat. Ease your head forward rather than down. Your chest is coming down, but your head is moving forward. If at any time you feel any strain in your knees, adjust. Straighten out one of those knees so that you can really get the benefit of the pose and not strain or fighting against the pose. The last minute, I'm going to be quiet again, but I'm going to give you another quote. This is from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Without ambition, one starts nothing. Without work, one finishes nothing. The prize will not be sent to you. You have to win it. With your ambition, my friends, with your work, you will win the prize. One more breath cycle. And lift up out of the pose. Set your prop aside for a moment as you plant both feet flat on the earth, separating your feet a little bit wider than the hips. We're going to go into windshield wipers. So allow your hands to rest behind you, recline slightly, and just rock those knees side to side, complementing the stillness, the stretch that we just had with a little motion here. Massaging those gluteal muscles, rotating the hips, and stretching the outer thighs. Pause at center, and we'll set up for cow face legs, second side. Same thing, remember you can start with just that half shoelace variation and then eventually move into cow face or not. Starting with the left leg, draw it in, step it across, and bring the outside edge of the foot down to the mat. This looks like half shoelace, you can stay here. If you want to add that second leg, bend your right knee and tuck the foot off to the side so the knees are stacked right in front, and this is where you add your prop, your pillow or set of pillows. Now again, maybe this is too much to start with and you want to stay in half shoelace for a few moments. Go ahead, I'm going to do that. I'm going to stay in half shoelace for a couple breath cycles. Allow those hips to feel that stretch. Again, this folded cow face pose is our first folded sequence of poses. So the hips are still, protesting a little bit. They've got something to say about it. So listen to what they have to say, but be firm and let them know that we are going to hold this position. We're not going to back down. And allow the hip muscles to realize that this is a good place to be. I'm going to go ahead and add the bend of the second knee now. Heavy hips. Listen to your knees. Again, if it's too much for your knees, then change positions. Go back into half shoelace. Let your chest move downwards and your head move forwards. Relax the shoulders. Rest the chin or the forehead so you're not trying to hold up the weight of the head. Breathe. And for the last minute here, again, I'll be silent, following my quote, my second quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. And he wrote, "Cultivate the habit of being grateful for every good thing that comes to you and give thanks continuously." Every good thing. Think of all the good things. Focus on the positive. One more breath cycle. And lift up out of the pose. Move your prop to the side. Again, plant those feet flat on the earth. Separating the feet wider than your hips. Just a little bit wider, not a lot wider. Hands behind you. Slightly recline. Bear a little weight in the hands. And then add the motion again. Windshield wipers. Survey your hips, survey your outer thighs. That's the benefit that we were focusing on that last pose, that cow face, lower body cow face, focusing on thighs and hips. And in fact, in yin yoga, most of the poses are benefiting on the lower body. Pause the motion. And we're going to go into our next yin pose, which is a draped lizard pose. So come into hands and knees, and here, if you need to use a little rolled up towel or a pad, a gardening pad or a knee pad, go ahead and put that in place. You'll still want to have your cushion, so have that available to you at the top of the mat, so you can bring that into position as well. We're going to come into a hands and knee pose. So place your hands on the mat. I'm sideways to you, but you could be facing directly towards your screen. I am calling out right and left as if I were a mirror image. So I'm calling out your right and your left as if I was in the mirror. So take your left leg forward. You can help it with your left hand. Get it into position. And then bring both hands to the outside of that left foot. We're coming into draped lizard pose here. So allow the chest to relax. Now, if this is not a good place for your hands, if you want that cushion here to not reach quite so far, or if you want to put your cushion on the end and hug that cushion and then bow your head onto the cushion, you can drape your pose that way. So you pick. You could rest the side of your face here, holding onto your cushion. Try not to grab the mat with your left toes. Wiggle the left toes. I'll move this so you can see. Wiggle the left toes so you're not grabbing the mat or gripping the mat. Let that foot relax. Your hand could rest on the foot if you like. With your head bowed, you could add a yes or no gesture here to the head. A few weeks ago, we did a practice focusing on posture. We talked about the weight of the head when it bows in front of us. So when you're bowing your head, try not to let the neck muscles do all the work. Give the head some support. So I've got my chin on my knee here, or I could put the side of my face on the knee. Let the neck muscles get a little break. If you want a little deeper stretch in the right hip flexor, think about the right foot behind you and push the toes back. Give it a deeper stretch without leaning into this left knee. So don't do that with your knee. Keep that alignment of left knee over left heel. But think about your right toes moving backwards, pushing those toenails towards the bottom of your mat. For the last minute, I'll be silent, except for my quote here from Maya Angelou. And she wrote, "My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive. And to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style." A well-rounded package, my friends. Passion, compassion, humor, and style. Lift up out of the pose. Tuck that left foot back behind you, coming back into table pose, giving that little hip flexor a little rub. And then coming back into table here, and we're going to go into hip circles. It doesn't matter which direction you start. Just go ahead and start moving those hips around. You're going to feel your left hip flexor is a little bit tighter, but your left thigh is a little looser. Pause, go the other direction. That's because that hip flexor was in that contracted state for the 3 minutes. So we're giving it a chance to release when it comes forward. Pause the motion, and we're going to take the yin pose of draped lizard to the opposite side. So pull your right foot forward. You can use your right hand to help it up there. And then bring both hands to the outside of the right foot. Set up your props. If you want to use your prop for a vertical support and just rest your face here, you can. If you have a smaller cushion and you want to place it on the knee and let the chest drape on that cushion, you can. You don't have to use a prop. Remember, listen to your body. But wherever you are with your draped lizard, make sure your head is getting a little support from the knee or the prop so that your neck muscles aren't doing all the work. Remember, motion is allowed. Moving the head gently. Yes or no. For that deeper stretch on the left hip flexor, without changing the position of your right leg, push those left toenails back as if they were trying to reach back towards the bottom of your mat. Breathe. Think about your deep yoga breath. Think about your victory breath, your ujjayi breath. And on the exhale, even with your mouth closed, imagine you're fogging up the mirror. Hear the vibration of the exhalation in the back of your throat. Feel the vibration. And for the last minute, once again, I'll be silent after my second quote from Maya Angelou. And she wrote, "Nothing can dim the light which shines from within." Feel your light, my friends. Feel the warmth within you. One more breath cycle. And lift the chest. Tuck that right knee back onto the mat. Set up your table pose again. And we'll go back into those hip circles. Remember, it does not matter which direction you start. As you come forward with your hips, really release that right hip flexor, the one that was in that flexed position when you were in your lizard pose. Pause, go the other way. And then pause, return to table. We've got one more pose on our hands and knees here, and that is puppy pose. In yin, it's called melting heart. So if you want to use your cushion, go ahead and bring it underneath your chest so that you have that cushion. If you want to stack a second cushion on top of it, you can. I'll model that just so you can see that you don't have to come all the way down to a low cushion. You could have two cushions. Crawl your hands to the top of your mat. Bring your head down between your elbows. And then draw the heart down like it's melting to the earth. And you can rest your forehead. If you need to take off your glasses here, go ahead, take them off. And rest your forehead on your prop. Crawl your hands forward a little bit further if you want. Keep the hips high. If you want to turn your face, you can. Allow one side of the head to rest on your prop, and then maybe halfway through you can switch it. Let the heart melt onto your prop. Keep the hips high. Toenails are relaxed. You can wiggle the toes. Recall your deep breath, your deep ujjayi breath. Fog up the mirror. Feel the stretch through the shoulders. Inch those fingertips, maybe one more inch further away from the shoulders. If you have your face turned only to one side, go ahead and change it to the other side. Draw your navel up towards the ceiling. Keep the heart pressing into the mat or into your prop. And once again, for the last minute of this pose, I'll be silent except for the quote that I leave you with for the last minute. Once again, Mary Oliver. And she said, listen, are you breathing just a little and calling it a life? Use all your breath, my friends, not just a little. Use that deep victory breath and call it a full life. One more breath cycle. Start to lift your chest up off of your prop. Move the prop off to the side, to the top of your mat. Place your hands firmly on the mat, making big stars with your hands. Line up your wrists under your shoulders, setting up your neutral spine, and we'll go into cat and cow. That's our yang pose here. Inhale, neutral spine. Exhale, cat stretch. Inhale, cow stretch. Go at your own tempo here. Let your breath cycle carry you between those two poses. Exaggerate the curve of your spine. Add a little bend in the elbows. Deepen your range of motion. Your spine was just in that still pose, that melting heart pose. So now give it a little break. One more pattern. Return to neutral spine and then set your hips on the mat. We're going to go into lying on our back poses for the remainder of our practice. So you can move your knee pad off to the side. Go ahead and come all the way down onto your back. We're going to be going into our figure 4 pose to stretch the hip. Adjust your low back, make a good connection with the mat. Pick up your right foot and bring it above your left knee, opening that right knee out to the side. Breathe. And now here, if it's not comfortable for you to have your head directly on the mat, you could use one of your props, like maybe a smaller cushion, to place behind your head or neck. Be comfortable. Pick up your left foot, reach behind your left thigh, draw that leg closer, and then relax the shoulders down into the mat. Close your eyes. You don't need to look at your screen now. Relax into the pose. Wiggle your toes, let the feet be relaxed. Don't try to contract the muscles of the feet. You can keep that left foot hanging low, or you could bring it up to the height of the left knee, or you could bring it up above the knee and then move it up and down. Remember, there's a seed, there's that little white seed within the half of the symbol that is dark. You can have motion. Relax your face, your brow, your tongue. Everything in the head is relaxed. If you're moving the leg at one point, if you want to stop for a moment, you can. You don't have to continue the motion. Draw it in a little closer. Deepen your stretch. Challenge your stretch. Keep those shoulders relaxed. For the last minute here, once again, I'll be silent so you can just focus on your pose. And I'll give you a quote here from
Ralph Waldo Emerson again. You're getting some of my favorite authors and poets here. Live in the sunshine, swim in the sea, drink the wild air. Use all your senses. One more breath cycle. And release that left thigh. Plant both feet back down onto the earth. We were stretching the right hip, so let's add motion to the right hip now in our yang pose. You can keep your left leg bent, or you could straighten it out, either one, and extend your right leg to the sky. Allow your hands to rest on your mat, and we're just going to make little circles in the air with the foot. Keep the knee straight. You're not bending from the knee. The motion's coming from the hip. Pause and go the other direction, as if you were tracing the shape of an ice cream cone in the sky. One more circle. Hug the knee, and then release. And we're going to go to that figure 4 position on the opposite side. So draw your left knee in, place the left foot above the right knee, and we'll go into that pose second side by reaching behind the right thigh. Draw that leg closer and then relax the shoulders down. And now don't look at your screen anymore. Look straight up at the ceiling. Maybe even close your eyes. Keep those shoulders relaxed. They're falling backwards into the mat. Remember the option for motion. You could take that right foot and lift it up to the sky and all the way back down. And again, you could do that for a few breath cycles, and then you could maybe pause halfway. That's the place where you get the maximum benefit of the stretch. You could even push the knee towards your body, and that'll deepen the stretch on that left hip. Keep those shoulders relaxed. If you want, you could add a little motion for your head, maybe turning your head gently from one side to the other. Easing a little motion through your neck. Relax the jaw. Swallow if that helps you to relax the jaw. Maybe yawn. And anytime you could change from either static or dynamic by adding the motion or taking it away. If those shoulders started to creep up off the mat, push them back down into the mat. And again, the last minute will be in silence after I give you another quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. You cannot do a kindness too soon, for you never know how soon it will be too late. Think about people in your life, my friends, that you haven't reached out to in a while. Offer a kindness of just a call, a text, a letter. Reach out before it's too late. One more breath cycle. Release the thigh. Bring that right foot down to the earth and extend your left leg up to the sky. You can keep that right leg bent, or you can straighten it out if you like. Release your hands down to the mat and start drawing those circles with your foot in the sky. The entire leg is drawing the circle. The motion is originating at the hip. Remember that ice cream cone shape. Pause and go the opposite direction, giving motion to that hip that was just in stillness. Pause, give the knee one hug, and then release, placing both feet onto the earth. We're going to go into another pose here, lying on our back, a yin pose called supported bridge, which if you're not using any props at all, is just exactly where you are with your hips on the earth. But if you want to lift your hips up a little higher, you can use one of your props, your pillow, your cushion. You can keep the small one under your head if you like, and take the larger one, set it under your hips. You could use a yoga block here as well. And now your hips are up a little bit higher than your shoulders. Keep those shoulders relaxed down into the earth. Imagine that you have a little balloon between your knees. So walk your feet and knees together, but don't let them come all the way together. Your hands could rest on your belly. You can come into cactus arms. Whatever feels right. You could allow your hands to rest on your cushion or directly to the mat, depending on the size of your cushion. Close your eyes. And if you don't want to have this pillow behind your head, if you want to take that away, you can take that away at any time. Again, you could add the motion of your head, gently moving from right to left. Just rolling on the occipital ridge, the back of your skull where it makes that little turn in towards your neck. Wiggle your toes. Don't let the feet try to grab the mat or contract. Engage. You want to relax those muscles. Think about the opposite of engagement. Total relaxation. Let your hips feel heavier on your cushion or on your mat if you're directly on the mat. Let your jaw relax. Let there be space between your molars. Let your tongue relax. And the last minute again. I'll leave you in silence after my quote from Maya Angelou again. And she wrote, "Everything in the universe has a rhythm. Everything dances." Think of everything dancing. The leaves on the trees, the ocean waves, even your breath. As you breathe in and out, your belly dances. Let's slowly come out of the pose by removing the prop from underneath your hips if you are using one. Push it away. And then hug both knees into your chest. Our yang pose here is Attanasana. So glue the knees together. Place your hands on top of the knees. and then push the knees away and then pull back in towards your chest. The feet remain floating off of the mat as you push the knees in and out from your body. Elbows straighten, elbows bend. So in our last pose, our back body was in stillness, and now we bring in a little motion and even a little massage for the low back as the knees come in and out. Pause. And we'll go into another yin pose. We're closing down towards the last 10 minutes of our practice, my friends. Almost there. Place your feet on the mat. We're going to go into open belly twist. So your arms could be resting on your belly. They could be in cactus arms or out to a T. And you're going to walk the insides of your feet together, press the knees together, and then lower both knees towards the left. And here, you can place your prop just to the left and allow the knees to rest on your prop. Keep both shoulders connected to the earth. You can turn your head to look towards your right shoulder, adding that extra rotation on the spine. So with your knees to the left, we're rotating the spine at the hips. And with your head facing right, we're rotating the spine at the neck. Option for some variations here. You can take the top leg, keep it bent, and draw that knee up towards your chest. And just give it a little extra hug by reaching down and grabbing the knee, or maybe even the heel with one or both hands. As you did that, your right shoulder may have lifted off the mat, so go ahead and slide that right hand down the leg so you can keep the right shoulder connected to the mat. You don't have to add this variation. You can keep the knees stacked. If you want to add a different variation, you could straighten that leg out and let it flop over your pillow or cushion. You're getting a different stretch on the outer thigh, on the right outer thigh. I'll allow you this last minute in silence, giving you a quote from Mary Oliver again. Keep some room in your heart for the unimaginable. And that means look for miracles, my friend. Don't close your heart to miracles. They're all around us. One more breath cycle. Restack your knees. Inhale the knees back to center. Adjust your hips on the mat. Separate your feet a little bit wider than your hips. And we're going to go into windshield wipers. We did them once when we were seated, and now we do it lying down. Hands can rest on your belly or on the earth as you move those knees side to side. Once again, we're changing that low body from the stillness of the last pose to the motion of windshield wipers. A little massage, a little mobility. Pause at center, and we're going to take our last yin pose. Draw those feet together, draw the knees together, adjust your low back, move your prop over to the other side if you want to use it, and then lower both knees to the right. Keep this left shoulder relaxed and connected to the mat. You can look towards the left shoulder to add that double rotation. Breathe. Remember the variations. You can add them or not. You can stay right here with the knees and feet stacked one on top of the other. Or that first variation I offered on the other side was to keep the top leg bent, but draw the bent knee up towards your chest. That'll deepen the stretch on that left hip. You don't have to reach down and grab the leg, but you can if you want, grabbing the calf, or maybe grabbing the heel. If you're grabbing with both arms, then make sure that you set the position of your left hand so that you can still maintain connection of your left shoulder to the mat. And remember, you can add the other option, if you like, of straightening out the top leg and letting it flop over your bolster or pillow or cushion, getting a different stretch on that left outer thigh. Breathe. Let your jaw relax. Let there be space between your molars. And let me finish with another quote, our last moment, our last minute of silence here, also from Mary Oliver. I believe in kindness, also in mischief, also in singing, especially when singing is not necessarily prescribed. Right now, my friends, if you wanted to sing, go ahead. That's the little mischievous part when it's not prescribed. I like to sing when I walk the dogs. Definitely not prescribed. Take one more breath cycle. Restack your knees if you've added a variation. Bring your knees back to center. Move your prop out of the way so you can go back into those windshield wipers. Setting your feet a little wider than your hips. Rest your hands on your belly or on the earth and start the motion. Knees moving side to side. This is the last of our yin and yang poses. We are going to finish with just a short relaxation here. We started with relaxation, and we're going to go back to that same pose. So if you were using a prop the first time around, you can once again grab your prop and put it behind your spine and recline on your prop, your pillow, your cushion. Knees can be bent or straight. If you're not using a prop, you can just come into corpse pose, whatever's comfortable to you. And now don't look at your screen anymore. Turn your face up towards the ceiling and close your eyes. Relax your brow, your face, your cheekbones, your eyes, your tongue, your throat. Everything relaxed. We're going to stay in this pose through the end, through the final quote and everything. So just be entirely comfortable, entirely relaxed. Survey your body Hopefully you feel a difference in allowing those poses to have 3 minutes to work their magic, to stretch those muscles, to elongate. I'm going to stay in this pose for our final quote. There is a final quote for today's practice. So while you're in your relaxing pose, bring your hands to heart center in Anjali Mudra. And my quote today at the end of our practice is from an author named Guy Finley. And he wrote, since we're in stillness and silence, he wrote, "There is nothing as certain as silence, stillness, and solitude to introduce you to the secrets of yourself." So sometimes we have to be very quiet in order to really listen. Stay in your relaxing pose, my friends. Just take a deep breath cycle with your hands still in your prayer position, and then let your thumbs touch your mind, your spirit breath, and your body. The spirit in me honors the spirit in all of you. Namaste. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this yin practice, and let me know in your comments or by messaging me if there's other styles of yoga that you would like to see in our Tuesday practice. Until next time.